Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sharing Passion and Purpose podcast. My name is Nancy Moore, and I am the host of this weekly podcast that provides career and creative inspiration to help you build a passionate and purpose-filled life. You'll hear from guests that will help you tap into your creative potential, pursue a career with passion, and build on your biggest and best resource, yourself. I'm excited to have you join this conversation. I'm so happy you're here. Let's get started. Before we start this episode, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Lori Medic of 5 Star Painting of Tulsa. Lori and her husband Trevor are incredible to work with. They are my go-to painting company because they are engaged in every step of the process. From the paint consultation to the follow-up, they ensure your project is beautifully completed in a timely manner, and they are meticulous with every detail so you don't have to be. They are also friendly, knowledgeable, and combine top quality work with high quality products. Other attributes that set 5 Star Painting apart include being family owned, insured, and members of the Tulsa Home Builders Association. So when you have a painting project here in the Tulsa area, 5 Star Painting is the one to call, and they provide free estimates. Connect with them online at 5starpainting.com/Tulsa or give them a call at 918-500-5788. It's amazing how a fresh coat of paint can transform a space. Connect with them today and you will be so glad you did. And now on to the episode. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Sharing Passion and Purpose podcast. I'm Nancy Moore, the host of this podcast. And today I am joined by my friend and also the owner of Bee's Kitchen. Her name is Bryn Anderson. So let me tell you about Bryn. What was born from a business for love, necessity, and a desire to provide for her family has turned into a thriving business. So Bryn is a single mom of 4, and actually I maybe should update that because she recently got engaged, but she did not wait for the perfect conditions. She started where she was. What began as a way to feed her family has grown into a business that's serving others in a meaningful and healthy way. So today we're going to talk about resilience, about taking that first step and what it really looks like to build something with purpose. And if you have been sitting on an idea, this is your reminder. You don't have to have it all figured out.
No.
You just have to start. So welcome, Bryn.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Nancy. I'm so excited to be here and to talk with you today.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you to share a little bit about your story for people to get to know you. Now, people in the Tulsa area for sure know about you. Other people who are listening, I want them to get to know you and your heart for what you're doing and your talent for what you're doing. As I mentioned, you're the owner of Bee's Kitchen, and I'd like for you to kind of take people back into how you decided to start Bee's Kitchen.
Okay, so about 9 years ago, I had been working as a para in a school. I had been divorced maybe a year, and I had 3 small children, 6, 4, and 2. And that summer came, and I was home with the kids that summer, and just thought, where I was working, the school, my son went with me and my older girls were at a different. And it was just a kind of a hard school year that year. And I have a background in art and was painting, and I just always had a passion for creativity and art and having an eye for art. And it was about to be end of summer, going back to the same school and just trying to think through logistics of like, okay, how am I going to be physically here, get the kids, my other girls, from school, and just navigating life as a single mom who's working and kids in school part-time. And a friend had reached out and said she was a successful business owner in the design architectural world, and she was about to have her 3rd baby, and said, "You've always been such a phenomenal cook. Would you ever consider like being a private chef or cooking?" And I said, that's so interesting. I was just earlier in the day had honestly been praying about whether I was going to go back to school or do something different that year with my kids and with work. And I said, if you can maybe get a few other families interested, I think I might do this. Within 2 hours, she emailed me back and said, I have 12 women interested. And I said yes before I had any idea of how it was going to look. It was a complete risk. I just felt in my heart, and I felt that's what I was supposed to do. And so I said yes and figured out how I was doing it along the way. So I started with doing weekly meals. And it was Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I delivered the food. I made it. But what I found was I was getting paid to cook for these families, and there was always a little bit extra for my kids. And as a new single mom who had been a stay-at-home mom, it was a huge blessing to my family. One, I had the energy to do it because I was doing it for work. And then, have these delicious, nutritious meals that I probably wanted to make, but just didn't feel as inspired or encouraged to make for just my kids all the time, So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, no. And you're somebody, though, that's kind of your personality, is to kind of go for it, I
Yes.
feel like. So when you were kind of thinking about it in that, in that brief amount of
Couple
time, and you
hours.
said, yeah, in the couple hours, yes. And you said yes to it. Was there a point where you thought, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into?
Oh, absolutely. I
Okay.
mean, yeah, absolutely. And people in my life thinking, what are you doing? You already have something going on. Why are you doing this? Why don't you just keep doing art? I've been probably in the art scene for about 10 years, doing commissions, doing some art shows, and had kind of become disenchanted, which I think if you study any artist, there's periods where they're not as creative and they need to take a break, whether it's music, whether it's an author writing, any creative field, you get a little burnout. So painting had become more of a chore for me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that school year, I enjoyed being with kids, but I wasn't getting to be as creative as I wanted to be. And so food allowed me that opportunity to be creative the way God has wired me and designed me to
Mm-hmm.
be, and
Mm-hmm.
make money and feed my kids along the way. You're going to cook as a mom or provide food for
Mm-hmm.
your children anyway. Why not monetize it? Which
Yeah.
sounds silly, but I thought, hey, I'm doing this anyway. I might as well monetize it
Mm-hmm.
and do something I enjoy and love and get to try some new interesting recipes.
Yeah.
And I did that
I
for a few years, and then COVID hit about 3
Okay.
years into doing it.
Okay. Okay.
Kind of
So,
changed.
but let me ask real quick, because you do, and this is probably your art background, but you do create beautiful charcuterie, and just what you make, I
Mm,
know, is pretty, and you
thank
take
you.
photos of what you have. So combining that artistic eye, that creative eye, with making things, you're, obviously talented and good at it. But let me go back to you saying when people said, what are you thinking? Because
Okay.
so many times women especially have something that they want to do, and the closest people to them, possibly
Oh,
family,
absolutely.
will say, I don't think you should do that. What are you going to get yourself into? You already have X going on, and I talk to people about how important it is to surround yourself with the right people.
Mhm.
And, also, depending on who you're surrounding yourself with, to trust your gut. And
Absolutely. I
so,
think you have to trust your gut, and it's taken me a really long time to learn that.
yeah.
It, but I mean, my dad, conservative banker, he thought, no, you need to go to a job at 9 o'clock, and you leave at 5, and you work for the same company for 40 years, and you need your 401k, and you need this. And he was doing that as a protective, loving, and he's
Mhm,
always encouraged me. But oh, absolutely. When I told him I was doing this, he thought, well, this is the silliest thing I've ever heard.
mhm, mhm,
So I do think that the people closest to you, and I don't even think it's necessarily a malicious, it's,
mm-mm.
a protection and out of concern. And
Yeah.
a lot of times your biggest cheerleaders are strangers, and they
Mhm.
can see something that maybe people closest to you can't see. But you do have
Yeah.
to trust your gut. And if you feel in your heart and you're passionate, I think you say yes and you figure out the logistics along the way.
Yeah. Well, you're a testament to that for sure. I'm glad. Thank you for sharing that because that is part of the equation that people, start getting that fear creeping in, and the voice of maybe I really can't do all this. I have
Mhm,
kids, I have small kids,
mhm,
but when you kind of trust your gut, trust yourself, and continue on figure it out, that's important.
mhm.
So your business has, I want to say it's exploded. I mean, it has grown, and I know it has grown differently along the way. And
Yes.
so I'd like for you to speak to that on how it started and what it is now.
Okay. So in August of 2017 is when I started it as the weekly dinners. It's all
Hmm.
I did were two dinners. I did a dinner on a Tuesday and a dinner on a Thursday. And had my same families that pretty much got it every week. They did there was no I want to do this week or I want to change it. It was kind of you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. And people just basically signed up for a year and that's how it went. And I delivered the meals, which was wild. Because I'm like loading kids in the car, doing a little, and I only served the Midtown area. I think toward the end of that time, I had a couple families in the Southern Hills neighborhood, but it was pretty much I had my little Ranch Acres to Maple Ridge route, and that, that was it. But that added quite a bit of time to, get the meals hot, packaged out the door and went and dropped them off. And then COVID hit. And all of a sudden, at 3 years in, um, I the I think I went from 12 families to six like that. And I was serving dual income families. So for a lot of these people, they were home for the first time and had the margin to cook
Hmm.
and people's finances changed with COVID, and but with that came a huge blessing in that people charcuterie blew up, and all of a sudden people wanted charcuterie because they couldn't really go out to restaurants, they couldn't, but they still might want to have close family or friends over. And so the charcuterie aspect really grew through
Hmm.
COVID
Hmm.
to the point of by 20 by 21, 22, I wasn't doing meals at all. I stopped it entirely, only was doing charcuterie. For me, I looked at, hey, all I have to do is get a cutting board and a knife and assemble already made food
Hmm.
and still
Hmm.
get to be creative and artistic. And I wasn't cleaning any pots and pans, and I kind of liked that during that
Hmm.
season.
Hmm.
But my families kept reaching back out. When are you ever going to start? Because I think I took a temporary pause for about 6 months and thought, I need a pause. My little one was one and or two, and she was pretty active, and it was just too much to do it all.
Hmm.
And by 2023, 4, I started back up with the meals, but decided I wanted to package it as a stock your fridge. Um, Oh, wait, go back. I actually private chefed in home for two different families. So I did that and the charcuterie. And then people heard, oh, wait, she's back doing meals, but I could not go to each individual home. And I thought, here's the demand for the meals are back.
Hmm.
And I really probably should say yes again. And so I thought through, how's this going to look? Is it going to look like when I first started it? And I decided I wanted to add, some lunch things and just different things that I had heard over the years from different clients and customers like, hey, can you do a chicken salad? Could you do it this? And thinking, at the time said no. And when I reconsidered how I wanted to relaunch Bee's Kitchen in the meal aspect, I decided to add and package it as a stock your fridge with a bunch of different items in addition to the dinners, and I no longer deliver.
Good for
Yeah,
you, Bryn.
we reached too many people, so they come and pick it up. And this summer, I went into a commercial space, which has been amazing and has allowed me to really grow.
Okay. That is super cool. I know I've been seeing online your space. Um, So let's talk about the idea of your background. So I want to touch on you're not a professional chef.
No, not
So
formally trained. No,
not formally trained, but it really doesn't matter
no.
because, putting together recipes and being creative in the kitchen, I
Hmm.
think is definitely your thing. So, what have you kind of learned, or how has your confidence grown throughout this process to even, because you literally now have a brick and mortar where people can, we'll talk about it, they can
Well,
come in.
it's a shared space.
Okay.
I rent space from the McNally's group actually, and
Oh,
so
okay. Oh,
I'm
cool.
mostly in there. But for example, they've started two new restaurants recently, and so their chefs have like come and recipe test. So everyone, I'll see some different people in and out,
Okay.
but no one's
Okay.
in there, using it like I am. But
Yeah.
yes, I
Yes.
rent from them and have a place for people to come and pick up meals and or pick up their charcuterie, and it's been great for storage, and yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah, yeah, that's neat.
And
So
it's
have you, oh, go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. I was just going to say it's been really neat to be exposed to chefs who are running some pretty incredible restaurants in Tulsa, and to be near that and to see how I've learned a lot from them, and to
Mhm.
see how they do things, and they've given me some tips. And it's interesting. Some of the best restaurant these chefs aren't formally trained either, and they're just passionate about what
Yeah,
they do, and they love food and love to learn.
yeah.
So,
Okay. I love that because so many times people think, well, I don't really have a background in that. How could I do it? Or, what would it look like to do something like that? But when you have that passion, many times that kind of helps you push through that fear.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
a willingness to learn and to realize you're not an expert, and you want to learn from
Yeah.
others. I think that being confident in yourself, but also that willingness to learn, I think is a really important aspect. So,
Yeah. That's key. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So, it this is a business
Yes.
and your background is as an artist. And so, and you've got other things too, but can you kind of talk to me about being a businesswoman, being an entrepreneur and being able to scale this and grow what you've been doing, what you've enjoyed, and then maybe something that has even taken you by surprise that you kind of learned maybe the hard way.
Yeah. For me, slow growth has been key through all of this. To this day, I still have not spent money on photography and marketing. And I do have a marketing degree. That is my background, a
Okay.
PR and marketing degree.
Okay.
And I've really just tapped into social media and learning social media. But slow growth, making sure I have demand before I expand. I mean, I think it was a couple years before I even called up Quick Prints and got stickers made. I or business cards.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that the demand was there, that it was something that I thought would be long term before I
Yeah.
started spending money on, because I have seen it time and time again. And I'm not saying my way that way is the only way, but I have seen people spend a lot of money up front on an idea,
Hmm.
and let me get the photography, the marketing, the packaging, the all these different components, and you don't have the demand there. And
Hmm.
so I think it's important to slow. I think slow growth is so important in having an entrepreneurial business. So that
Yeah.
is, making sure it's something that's sustainable, before you spend a lot of money on the front end. So that's something that I've done. Now maybe I could have grown faster if had I, but I also know my limits as a mother, and knowing my
Uh-huh.
priorities with my children, and what I can handle and what I can't. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. So you're a mom to four
Yes.
and you are a busy Busy lady, to say the least. But I'm wondering, is there any part that your kids are helping you with in the business, or is there any way you've kind of involved them where they've kind of been able to take something on?
Early on, the kids really did help, with could you either watch a little sibling or can you help mom clean this? Or, hey, I need you to put stickers on these cheese boxes. There was some help. Now, I mean, my oldest is 18. She's about to graduate from high school. They're so busy with
Yeah.
their own sports. Every once in a while they'll help in. Like she has gone and done a wedding grace with me for fun, but that was a few years ago. But I have some employees now that I can really count on. And I am at the point where when I'm with the kids, I want it to be about the kids and
Yeah.
not making them work.
Yeah. I see that. You can't operate in a silo though. So many
Yeah,
times there's things that maybe are brought home or things you're talking about.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I will say too, you are one of the hardest working people.
Oh, thank
You
you.
are, and I
Thank
admire
you.
you so much for
Thank
that. You
you.
have such a strong work ethic. And if you say you're going to do something because we've worked together on things,
Yes,
it's
I'm
done.
doing it. Yeah.
You're doing it. And you're
I
the
tell my
one.
kids that all the time. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. And I've learned to not say yes to as much.
Yeah.
Now I'm better about saying no to things. But I am not one to, if I say, yeah, I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So,
Okay.
and I want that, I've instilled that in my children too.
Yeah.
So,
And I've
um,
definitely seen that.
but yeah, no, the girls, Margaret, my little one, she'll come up to the kitchen and, for 30 minutes while I grab something or, hey, mom has this load of Costco and we need to drop it at the kitchen in the fridge. And
Mhm.
she enjoys going up there. She'll help me put labels on. Her favorite thing, in our weekly meal package, we have a peanut butter bites, the little protein bites that everybody loves. Anytime people have them, they're like, I have several people that order extra each week, and her job is to put the little stickers on the labels, and she thinks
Mhm.
that's fun. She
Yeah.
also sneaks a few too. She's like, now these are going to be mine to take home.
That's her payment, Bryn.
Yeah,
That's her payment.
I'll pay you in peanut butter bites, babe.
Yes. And she's probably absolutely thrilled with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So, do you have something coming up that maybe you might want to share?
personal, is that
Either personal or professional.
something coming up? I did just recently is talking about slow growth. This is sad. So sad. But I just started doing a weekly email with the menu because I had
Okay.
just been doing social media.
Okay.
9 years, Nancy, nine
Wow.
years, and I wasn't sending out a weekly email. So that's new with the business.
Okay.
And that has actually been really received really well because not everyone's on social media. And so I think
Right.
having multiple avenues of
Mhm.
reaching your audience is really important.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's
Okay.
a little embarrassing to admit that I'm just now
No.
doing the weekly email, but that's been something that's new with the business. What else? I mean,
No, you do a
I have
good
some
job with.
neat caterings with some businesses coming up
Okay.
that I enjoy. I have a couple. I love supporting local.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
So I have some local businesses I'm doing some catering for coming up in
Okay.
June and May. So that's exciting. But
Good. Okay. Yeah, it seems like you always have some fun things going on, and so I'll share your social media because people should be following you. I think you post some good behind the scenes, but your photography is pretty.
oh,
And
just
your
my little trusty iPhone right
and it's
here.
probably that good eye that you have too, for sure. So, in wrapping up, I want to ask you maybe for some advice that you might share to women who are thinking about that idea, that dream, that thing that they have in their heart,
Mhm.
but they're not sure if they should move forward. What advice would you have for them about taking that leap and going for it?
I mean, I always say you'll never know if you don't try. And so I would much rather try something and fail and move on to something else than to always wonder. And so I think it is so important if something's stirring in your heart and you just can't shake an idea, you have to go for it. And what's the worst that could happen? It didn't work out. And you move on and you try something else. And even if it didn't work out, I always think that any failed attempt, you learn something. There's something valuable in it. And there's growth. And so whether it doesn't work out the way you perceive it to work out, you learn something. You maybe network and meet somebody, or you just, I think it's really important to put yourself out there. I think it's important to connect with others. And I think talking about your idea, we had said earlier, sometimes the people closest to you aren't your biggest cheerleaders and they're not your biggest supporters. Talk with a stranger about your ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Talk with someone at carpool, school pickup that you don't really know that well, and just see what feedback you get.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know unless you try.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Such good advice, Bryn. I love it. I love it.
I
Well, I love what you're doing. And this has been such a thrill for me to be able to talk to you and let you kind of share what you're doing, because just, tapping into what you're passionate about, you have such a cool energy about you, just like a vibrant energy. And it's because you're doing what you enjoy, and you're a hustler. Like you make it happen. You're a hard worker. You have that hard work ethic, but you really, you can tell that you enjoy your life.
Thank you. Yeah, I do. And I think if you're doing what you love, you're going to enjoy each day. And I think that's the purpose of living and enjoying the journey.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not necessarily the destination, but the journey to get there. So,
yeah. Again, I love it. Okay, thank you for talking to me.
It's always a pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I appreciate you being here. And don't forget to connect with me on social media. Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn are at Sharing Passion and Purpose, and Twitter is at Passion Sharing. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.